Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission here is simple. We take a massive stack of research, news, and analysis and distill it down into the essential, fascinating knowledge you need to be completely informed. Today, we're looking at a product that is so ubiquitous, you probably tripped over a 24-pack of it at Costco last weekend. We are diving into Premier Protein, specifically the overwhelming market dominance of their ready-to-drink shakes. Okay, here's the puzzle we're trying to solve. Premier Protein isn't exactly the most glamorous brand out there. It's not necessarily the one you see like high-end personal trainers pushing, but it is the market leader by a long shot. So how did this one brand get such a staggering position in what's frankly an incredibly crowded, health-conscious consumer space? We really need to uncover the surgical precision behind this market conquest.
That really is the core mission today. We've been digging into analysis, looking at the corporate strategy of Bellring Brands, which is Premier Protein's parent company. And their success is, it's like a clinic in market alignment. You've got a perfectly calculated product formula, strategic value pricing, and absolutely massive mass market distribution. It's textbook.
Okay.
But, and this is critical, we have to establish this tension right from the start.
Yeah.
Because, every huge success story has an Achilles heel somewhere.
Right.
Premier Protein's dominance. It's built on a formula that relies pretty heavily on processed ingredients and, importantly, artificial sweeteners. That foundational product choice has basically set them on a direct collision course with this rapidly growing consumer demand for clean labels. So the question isn't if the market shifts, but how Premier Protein is going to manage that inevitable impact.
Okay, so let's set the scene. To really appreciate where Premier Protein sits, you have to understand just how massive the playing field is that they're dominating. The U.S. protein supplement market itself is just exploding. The research we looked at suggests it's nearly a $10 billion market this year, like $9.88 billion in 2024. And the projections show it more than doubling, hitting maybe $22.58 billion by 2032. That's huge growth.
It's phenomenal growth, yeah. And what's really fascinating here is how the customer base has completely transformed. It's not really driven by, hardcore gym rats anymore.
Right.
The fuel is coming from mainstream consumers. It could be you, me, busy parents, professionals, just people seeking general wellness, maybe weight management, and critically, a fast nutritional fix for increasingly hectic lives.
So the goal isn't necessarily peak athletic performance anymore. It's more like peak convenience.
Exactly. Peak convenience. And within that huge macro market, the fastest growing segment is the ready-to-drink, or RTD category. That's where Premier Protein lives.
Yeah.
Globally, this specific category is expected to hit almost $3.6 billion in the next decade or so. But here's the kicker. Look at where the demand is centered. North America accounts for nearly half. Yeah. 48.10% of the entire global RTD market. We are literally drinking these protein shakes faster than anyone else in the world.
Wow. And if we connect that back to Premier Protein's formula, that seems like brilliant strategic alignment then. Because, while plant-based options get a lot of buzz, the reality is that animal-based proteins, whey and casein primarily, they still utterly dominate the market.
They absolutely do. Animal proteins account for, 61.1% of the overall market, and even more specifically, 68.4% of that key RTD category.
Okay.
And Premier Protein's core ingredient, it's milk protein concentrate and calcium caseinate. So they didn't chase some small niche trend. They went straight for mastering the segment that was already spending the most money. They aligned themselves perfectly with where the majority of consumers already were.
Right. So here's the key insight for you listening. Premier Protein figured out they weren't just competing with, say, muscle milk or other shakes. They are competing against time. Their product is replacing that highly processed granola bar you might grab, or the drive-through coffee and pastry, or even just the hassle of prepping a healthy lunch.
Exactly.
They basically solve the modern consumer's nutrient acquisition dilemma by reducing the complexity down to almost zero. Just grab and go.
Precisely. It's maximum convenience.
So we can sort of feel that Premier Protein is everywhere, but let's put some hard numbers on it. The sources confirm their status as the, and I'm quoting here, #1RTD protein and convenient nutrition brand. Indisputable.
Yeah, let's dive into those metrics because they really do confirm that claim. In the overall RTD category, Premier Protein commands an overwhelming 25% of the entire market share.
A quarter of the market.
A full quarter. Just think about the sheer diversity of brands, sizes, flavors out there on the shelf. For one company to own a quarter of all those sales, it's pretty astonishing.
And the success of that single product line is almost unbelievable for the parent company, Bellring Brands. Premier Protein generated a massive, get this, 85.4% of Bellring's total segment net sales in fiscal year 2024.
85.4%.
That is an incredible reliance, almost terrifying, actually, on just one brand.
Wait, 85%? That's not just concentration risk. That sounds like structural fragility.
Right.
I mean, it basically means if Premier Protein sneezes, the parent company, Bellring, catches pneumonia. Analysts consistently point to this high concentration as the single biggest systemic risk for them.
So, like, if there's a major product recall.
Exactly. Or even if a major retailer like Costco, where they do enormous volume, decided to drop them or reduce shelf space, the ripple effect on Bellring's valuation could be, well, catastrophic.
Wow. But it really speaks volumes about the brand's penetration into the market, doesn't it? They achieved a remarkable 19.4% U.S. household penetration in 2024, and apparently they were only at about 11% just 5 years ago, back in 2019.
Huge jump.
That really confirms the shift, doesn't it? From a niche kind of supplement to a true mainstream, maybe even everyday staple for a lot of households.
Absolutely. And the growth didn't slow down recently either. Their net sales growth hit 23% just in the last fiscal year.
So the brand is essentially a rocket ship right now.
It is, but, the investors are looking closely at the fuel tank, realizing it's all coming from just one pipeline. That makes people nervous.
Okay, so let's unpack how they built the product that managed to grab that 25% market share. You mentioned the formula was calculated, almost surgical. What exactly is this golden ratio they landed on? The thing that resonated so perfectly with the mass market. Is it just about packing in the protein?
Well, it's really the intersection of the three key metrics that seem to matter most to the average consumer. It's kind of a perfect trifecta. You've got the 30 grams of protein, right? That hits the satiety goals muscle retention people look for.
Okay.
Then a low, very manageable 160 calories that makes it super easy to integrate into almost any diet or calorie counting plan.
Right, doesn't blow your calorie budget.
Exactly. And critically, only 1 gram of sugar. That low sugar count directly addresses what is probably the #1 health concern for the average shopper these days.
Sugar is the big villain.
Pretty much. So high protein, low cal, negligible sugar. That's the core. Oh, and they also add in like 24 vitamins and minerals as a bonus.
And beyond that core formula, you mentioned variety is key too, because people get bored easily.
Oh, massively key.
Yeah.
They clearly realize consumers get flavor fatigue quickly. So while some competitors, like maybe Fairlife, might only offer 3 basic options,
Yeah.
chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, baby,
Yeah, the standards.
Premier Protein boasts this vast, often innovative flavor portfolio. They do seasonal stuff all the time, like pumpkin spice in the fall.
Ah, the pumpkin spice effect.
Exactly. That variety keeps the purchase cycle fresh. Food Network even named Premier Protein the best product specifically for most varied flavors. And that's actually a subtle but pretty powerful competitive moat. People keep coming back because they can rotate through different flavors without feeling bored, or like they're making some kind of taste sacrifice for the nutrition.
Okay, so that flavor variety then feeds directly into the other 2 cornerstones you mentioned, price and distribution. Premier Protein is definitely positioned as the value champion in the category, right?
Absolutely. We see their price point generally landing somewhere between, say, $2.12 and $2.62 per serving, depending on where you buy it and pack size.
And how does that stack up?
Well, that lower price point is really significant because their main competitor, Fairlife, which often gets praised for taste, is priced considerably higher, often closer to $2.73 up to maybe $3.58 per serving.
Ah, okay. So a noticeable difference.
Definitely. Fairlife might taste, cleaner to some, more like milk, but Premier Protein offers arguably great taste and that same high-protein punch, but for a meaningful discount. For a lot of people, that value proposition wins.
And that lower price, combined with their just ubiquitous distribution, that feels like the ultimate secret weapon. You can find these shakes absolutely everywhere. Costco, Sam's Club, Walmart, Target, Amazon, grocery stores.
Every major channel.
Yeah, it's sold through pretty much every mass market channel imaginable.
Yeah.
If you want it, it is immediately accessible right there, and it won't break the bank. That's a powerful combo.
It really is. Product and pricing get you in the door, maybe, but the marketing is what really cemented the dominance. Bellring made this really brilliant pivot in their strategy. They moved their focus entirely away from, like, elite athletes, the traditional target for protein supplements, right?
The bodybuilder image.
Yeah, exactly. They shifted to focus instead on everyday nutrition and weight management.
So targeting the average person, basically.
Precisely. The busy professional, the parent trying to manage their macros between meetings and school runs, or just the health-conscious individual who realistically doesn't have time for extensive meal prep.
Okay, that makes sense. And how do they reach those people?
Their social media presence is textbook sophistication, really. They leverage massive influencer marketing campaigns, but they emphasize authentic, relatable usage cases.
So not just gym selfies.
No, not primarily. It's less about lifting weights and more about, say, mixing it into your morning routine or having it as an afternoon pick-me-up instead of hitting the vending machine. That hashtag Pumpkin Spice Your Life campaign you mentioned earlier, for example, they partnered with dozens of lifestyle influencers, and it reached something like 23 million people.
Wow.
That kind of campaign turns a temporary seasonal product into like a cultural must-have, even if just for a few months. It generates huge buzz.
Okay, but the ultimate genius, from what I read, seems to lie in how they harnessed and then actually accelerated user-generated trends. We have to talk about the hashtag Profi phenomenon.
Yes. Props.
People mixing the protein shake with coffee as a kind of healthier creamer substitute.
And that was pure marketing gold.
Yeah.
And the key is it was a completely user-generated trend. It just bubbled up organically.
Right.
We saw TikTok search volume for Profi increase by over 200% seemingly overnight. And instead of just watching it happen, or worse, ignoring it, the brand immediately jumped on it. They integrated it directly into their marketing. They even opened like experiential pop-up stores to promote that specific use case, mixing Premier Protein with coffee. That is just brilliant responsive marketing.
What's so fascinating about that Profi integration, to me anyway, is that it fundamentally changes the product's identity for those users.
Oh, so?
Well, it transforms the shake from being an occasional supplement, maybe something you drink post-workout a few times a week, into an everyday, almost essential item. It integrates right into your existing morning coffee ritual.
Ah, I see. Leveraging an existing habit.
Exactly. They successfully inserted their product into an already powerful, dominant daily habit for millions of people. And that instantly, dramatically increases purchase frequency and ultimately customer lifetime value. It's quite clever.
It's incredibly clever, turning an occasional purchase into a daily necessity.
Okay, but wait. We've spent a lot of time talking about the massive upside, the dominance, but we established right at the top that this success story has an Achilles heel. Let's face those criticisms head on now. What exactly are consumers, or maybe health critics, complaining about when they look closely at the ingredients list?
Right. This is the core strategic dilemma for them. They absolutely won the mass market on value and taste, no question. But they draw intense fire from critics and, increasingly, some consumers who prioritize ingredient purity. The specific ingredients that usually get flagged, the ones that lead to the ultra-processed label, include the artificial sweeteners, things like sucralose and asulfame potassium, or ACE-K,
Okay.
and also stabilizers and texture enhancers like carrageenan and cellulose gel. Now, these are precisely the ingredients that likely allow them to hit that consistent, popular flavor profile and sweetness level at a relatively low manufacturing cost,
It keeps the price down.
which keeps the price down and the taste consistent, but it comes at the cost of that clean label.
So this sets up what the research identifies as the three main threats to their long-term loyalty. The first, and maybe the most immediate, is this issue of formula integrity. We're actually seeing pretty intense complaints, especially from their most loyal users, the people buying multiple cases at Costco every month, showing up on platforms like Reddit or in product reviews. They're saying that recent new and improved formula changes have actually spoiled some of the classic beloved flavors.
Yeah, and those loyal bulk buyers are absolutely critical to their volume. The complaints are specific too. People are describing the taste of the reformulated products as being thinner or slimy or sometimes having a distinct chemical aftertaste.
Oof.
If you start alienating the customers who are buying your product by the case week after week, you are seriously gambling with the stability of that huge 25% market share. That's your base.
That's a big risk. Okay, so that's threat number one, messing with the formula. What's the second?
The second, and this feels like a slower burn but maybe a bigger long-term issue, is the clean label pressure.
Right, the trend we talked about.
Exactly. Competitors, like Fairlife again, are already being praised by consumers precisely because their taste is perceived as cleaner, maybe closer to real milk, using fewer artificial ingredients.
So the contrast is becoming clearer.
It is, and the moment the average shopper, not just the hardcore health nut, starts genuinely equating clean label with overall quality and health benefits, well, that $2.12 price point might not be enough to keep them loyal anymore. Those competitors are basically waiting in the wings, ready to catch all the consumers who decide to defect from artificial ingredients.
Okay, formula changes, clean label pressure. What's the third main threat?
The third one comes up often in expert critiques, and it's about third-party testing, or rather, the lack thereof.
Meaning?
Meaning there's a noticeable lack of widely available, independent third-party verification for product purity and label accuracy for Premier Protein. This isn't unique to them. It's an industry issue, but it gets flagged.
So, concerns about things like heavy metals or whether the protein content listed is actually accurate.
Exactly those kinds of things. It becomes a trust issue, especially when you're marketing yourself, even implicitly, as a health-focused product. Consumers want assurance, and independent testing provides that. Its absence can erode trust over time.
Okay, so this all kind of synthesizes into this huge central conflict facing the brand, doesn't it?
It really does. Premier Protein successfully captured the biggest part of the market by mastering cost management and delivering a delicious, value-oriented taste that people love. That was the winning strategy. But now the question is, how long can they maintain that exact strategy before this growing clean label preference becomes not just a niche concern, but a mainstream buying factor? When that happens, it forces them to consider taking expensive, potentially risky action on the very golden formula that made them so successful in the first place.
It's a tough spot. Okay, let's try to wrap this up. This deep dive really shows a true masterclass in achieving market domination, warts and all. Premier Protein's success seems to rest on 4 really critical pillars. Number 1, creating that perfect golden ratio of protein, calories, and crucially low sugar. Number 2, ensuring immense flavor diversity to keep people engaged. Number 3, offering that unbeatable combination of mass market value and total accessibility. It's cheap and everywhere.
Right.
And number 4, executing that brilliant lifestyle integration marketing, turning the product into a daily habit through things like the Profi phenomenon.
Absolutely. But the core of their future strategy, as we discussed, really hinges on maintaining a highly delicate balance. It's tricky. They have to continue managing costs effectively, which ironically often drives those minor formula changes that risk alienating their loyal users.
Right, the ones complaining about the taste changing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
While simultaneously preserving that specific taste profile that earned them such fierce loyalty in the first place. It's a tightrope walk. Change the formula too much, and they could lose their current base. Change nothing, and they might lose the future consumer who demands cleaner ingredients.
So it leads to a really interesting strategic question. Here is a final provocative thought for you, our listener, to maybe chew on. Given Premier Protein's overwhelming dominance, which they achieved largely by prioritizing convenience and value over ingredient purity, should they now try to fundamentally reformulate their core flagship product line to meet that growing clean label demand? Even though that risks alienating potentially millions of their massive existing customer base who like it just the way it is, or is the smarter, perhaps more agile business decision to just keep the current cash cow running as is, milking that 85% revenue stream, and instead launch a completely separate, probably higher-priced, clean sub-brand, one designed explicitly to capture that new health-conscious consumer segment without disrupting the original formula?
Take the core, add a new branch.
Exactly. Something for you to ponder next time you're grabbing